So my name's Renita Swami and I'm the OSH coordinator at Brunswick East Primary School Out of School Hours Care program, and I've been here for 23 years, which is a very long time, and 36 years in the industry. So, yep. So at Brunswick East Primary School, we just run a aftercare and a before care program, and we're licensed to have 106 kids a day, and we're a school council run service. So the role of the educational leader is actually shared between two people at our service, myself and Carolyn, and we split it into two parts, even though we work collaboratively together. Carolyn takes on board all the documentation and the children's portfolios and supporting staff with writing observations and things like that, and I take on board the theories and talking with staff and supporting them with daily practices, implementing the MQF, and all of how we actually question ourselves and challenge ourselves. That's what I take on board. But we do it together. We do it as a team at staff meetings. We have staff meetings weekly, 1.5 hours a week. So we have a fair amount of time that we really immerse ourselves in educational leadership. So I think there's a lot of things involved in being an educational leader. So there is mentoring staff, there's guiding staff through all of the different aspects. There's, as I said, immersion in the National Quality Framework, and there's 3 frameworks that we sort of kind of look at. So that's a fair bit anyway, and continuing to immerse ourselves in those frameworks over time. Supporting staff with writing documentation on the children, which is observations, making sure that we critically reflect everything that we're doing, from practices to bigger questions like gender issues and just the use of language, what kind of language we're using at our service. And there's so many things that we sort of talk about in that. So there's a lot of things that educational leadership involves. You know, it's unpacking theories. It could be staff will have behaviour, they want to talk about behaviour issues, and so we will, as we go, it's almost like a dynamic process. There's things that I will bring that I think we need to focus on, and there will be things that staff bring up that we realise these are part of what we need to go in depth with and talk about on a deeper level. So there's a lot of things. I've written quite a few things here actually. You know, there's the whole planning, that we do, the whole program planning, educational program planning that we do together as a team, talking about individual children. We've got 200 plus kids on books, so that's a lot of kids if you think about it, talking about them, and just making sure that we are looking at all of them and feeding back and making sure that we are addressing what their needs are. So it's quite a lot of things that we've got to do. Driving change. So we've actually changed quite a few things, how we do things here at our program. We have quite a few things going on. Our culture is a lot of blended families, for example, and gender curious children. We have a few, which has meant that we've had to re-educate ourselves and sort of change the way we do things, change our language, change the way that we, actually think. So we've actually gone quite in deep. So, yeah. You need to be a good listener. You need to be able to be flexible and patient and work with teams, groups of people. You need to be able to share knowledge and information, gather new knowledge and information. So, I find that I have to keep up with what's currently happening in the industry and current knowledge and theories. So supporting educators in my role as educational leader is very important. So there's a number of things that we do here. So we provide a platform and an agenda. So we do that via staff meetings. So we have 1.5 hours per week. So that's regular, and educational leadership is pretty much a big part of that. So that's one thing. Providing professional development training and support via that, and that's all hours again, whatever staff need that we need to support them with, we will look at what they need. Providing resources. So that could be whatever it is, books, paperwork, theories. You know, a staff member might come to me and say, I need support with behavioural management. We will then be able to go and look through what we need and provide that, you know, staff member with resources. High expectations. We have to set the bar pretty high, because educational leadership, we sort of need to have our staff really thinking deeply and working at a pretty high level, and you know, the frameworks give us that base, and so we work with those pretty closely. So having an inclusive environment, I think that's pretty important, so that everyone is there together and everyone has a space to be able to speak. I think those kind of things are very important. We've done a lot of trial and error learning, so having that kind of space for people to be able to try things, so that I'm not saying this is the only way it is, that there's this understanding that we're listening to each other and we can try things out, because there's a lot of things that we've worked through that have been this process of trial and error. So I didn't quite know the word to put for that, but anyway, that was what it was. Collaborative learning, so that we work collaboratively together to investigate and work through things that we need to learn. So how are we supported by our approved provider? Our approved provider is school council, and the principal is the responsible person that heads that. We have a very good relationship with the school and school council. This is an open, community-based school, and so we have a shared care kind of idea. And this school also is a Reggio Emilia-based school, so we already have that idea of a play-based inquiry learning school. So the children that are here are coming from that. They come here, and it kind of continues the whole supports and continues that whole play-based idea. The parents are coming to this school for that. It continues in out-of-school hours care as well. So there's support throughout the whole community. Yeah. So initially there was a lot of push against learning new things or doing things differently. You know, when the NQF first came out, the whole idea that we had this whole structure that sort of we had to sort of go back and almost learn again was a bit of a challenge for staff. But we started right from the beginning. So we started going through the language, you know, we pulled out words and we immersed ourselves in learning language together and sort of re-educating ourselves. And now, like years later, now 7 years later, staff are well on their way, but that was initially a challenge, and has been a great thing, you know, to have a framework to sit on. So other challenges of educational leadership, well, I must say my staff do sometimes roll their eyes when I pull out some theories, and we need to go through them, but the more and more that we immerse ourselves in deep learning, I find that it actually works to everyone's advantage, and then back to the kids and back to our community, because we're learning, and we do better from it. We learn things, we learn how to speak and how to share, how to do everything so much better. It just ends up being really good for us. So what have been our successes in my role as educational leader? we've got quite a few. So, and we continue to seem to have them. Some of them is just challenging ourselves really hard and really changing the way that we think and do things. And I think, as I mentioned before, gender, the whole idea around gender was a big challenge for us because our community is a very large blended family community. We've got a number of children with gender dysphoria. We needed to look at that and think about how we could make changes in our service to incorporate those ideas. So we did a lot of reading, and we've, right from maybe changing on our enrolment forms, instead of putting just male, female, we've got other, so that, that was a request from a parent. Could we do that? That was easy. Straight away, just a simple change is adding that in, and just continuing to just be inclusive in our language. Like we're taking away the terms girl and boy, not using those so much, which has been great for us to really just focus more on the individual as well. So it's kind of things like that we felt has been a success for us. We've also embraced the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander, the whole area around that. So we've been immersing ourselves in taking on board an adult week and reconciliation and looking into those, learning about that and how we can bring it into our service and understand and take on board that whole area, which has worked really well for us and the children. And what we found was that a lot of our children didn't know a lot of information, so we were all learning together, which was a fantastic thing. So to us, that was a great big success. One of the things we're working on at the moment is how to change this culture of banter, Aussie banter, and changing the language, and that has evolved into well-being and how we work with each other, and just trying to be really positive and with each other, and that is just growing. It's growing bigger and bigger all the time at the moment, so that's kind of a success. But all of these things involve us deeply looking what we do and trying to get rid of these norms that have been around for so long, or changing the way that we are. Like we just take for granted that what we do is okay, but really thinking about, is what we do okay, and then changing it. So pretty much that's some of our successes, yeah. By raising our profile, professionalising ourselves, like educating ourselves and really trying to do the best we can and trying to learn, and it just feeds back into the service. Staff feel more confident. What I have seen our staff achieve is that they feel more professional in their role. That has fed back into the outcomes for the children. They're more intentional in the teaching and what the activities they're delivering. They're thinking deeply more about how and what they are doing. That ultimately feeds back. We see it. The children are happier, the staff are happier with what they're doing, because they are just so more deeply and intentionally involved in what they're doing. I do a fair bit. I've always involved in OSH networks. That's something I find very important, and I think everyone should do that if they're involved in the industry, because you get so much from meeting with other like-minded people, and you share ideas, you share resources, you share so much. So definitely OSH networks. I sit on a couple of subcommittees, and I get information and share knowledge, and are able to, it's this cross give and take relationship that we have, which keeps me up with industry changes, which is very important as well. So I know what's happening with government and where changes are happening, and I can bring that back, share it back at OSH networks as well. Also with external agencies, I have relationships with external agencies, so councils and community childcare. You know, there's a number of different organisations that I make sure that I stay tapped into, and I will always ring and give people a call and ask questions to find out what is this, what is going on, what do I need to know, you know, if I don't know it, so that I can stay connected. So communication is vital, and linking with other networks is vital. So having the staff meeting agenda works very well for us, because that actually is the place where we can say, everyone voice what we need to talk about. We're here every day, so and as educational leader, I'm here every day as well, so I can talk with staff every day, you know, informally, formally. So we also have staff, like I said, staff meetings we have newsletters, and I can email with staff, and we have PDRs. So there's a number of different ways that I'll communicate with staff. Yep. Again, via the newsletter, so we might put something in the newsletter about what we might be working through sometimes. So, and that, you know, that's something that we'll put out verbally. A lot of we're a very close school and a close-knit community school, so there's a lot of talking. So we talk a lot with our community about what's happening and what we're involved with, and via newsletters. So that's pretty much, and I'll send emails out to families saying this is what's happening. Isn't it great? You know. Well, there's a lot of stuff out there, and I mean, you know, the internet is an amazing resource, I must say, besides books and libraries. What I've been looking into, and I have, again, had a whole lot of amazing resources on gender, which we pulled off, which was really current thinking. And wellbeing resources I've been pulling off lately, and there's a lot of stuff. There was stuff on the ACECQA website, there was stuff on the state government website, there was stuff on the CCC Community Childcare website, there was stuff, information and resources everywhere. So it's just a matter of going through and just pulling it all off. So I personally, I just go through and I will use resources from everywhere that I can. Be open-minded. Don't be scared to try something new, and challenge your current thinking, because it only gets better. I actually do believe that now. Do a lot of research. I think that's, you know, just you make time to just do that. Make time with staff, because you need to make time to share and with staff. However you do that, you do need to make time. You know, again, just be inclusive. It's very important that you have your mind on to be open and inclusive, and continue to raise the profile of OSH.